Soos genoem, gesels ek met Paul Makube en hy is 'n senior landbou-ekonoom by FNB se agribusiness gedeelte. Paul, welcome to Groot Plaas.
Thank you for having me.
It's really wonderful speaking to you. Let's start at the beginning. What is the crop outlook despite a marginal hike in planting area amid favorable prices and weather? How does it look for South Africa?
Okay, excellent. Thanks. The situation looks, promising, actually good. I think we are likely to see another, third year of good production conditions. The outlook for rainfall is also positive. Expectations are that the La Nina conditions will, hold towards the midsummer. Slightly dissipating towards the last half of the summer period, which is also good that we don't need too much rainfall at that time. In terms of the crops, indications are that we are going to see another record crop, particularly soybeans that seems to have taken a bit of head trade out of maize. With a 16% year-on-year increase in hectarage in terms of the intentions to plant that we received recently. Although it's still early days, the recent prices on the local market, especially for grains, points to an upward pressure on prices. The prices are relatively good, and therefore will encourage farmers to actually plant more in the season ahead. It's still early days at the moment from the current intention to plant.
Paul, what are some of the biggest factors that contributes to the planting season we're going into? What should farmers be aware of?
Okay, so obviously weather is the first thing that will actually influence farmer decisions. But obviously, the availability of inputs for agriculture, the two seasons that we had, we had, a massive increase in input costs.
Yes.
And we saw farmers, seeing margins, coming under pressure. Fortunately, this year, prices have increased, considerably. And recently we have seen a slight deceleration in prices of agrochemicals, but still quite elevated on a year-on-year basis. We have seen recently that the diesel price has gone up, meaning that at the onset of the planting season, and therefore it means huge cost pressures on the producers. But the margin is still there, and we expect that farmers will still plant. Obviously, the rainfall situation is a question of timing, preparation, and ensuring that you are ready for the right time to plant. We saw last year, where too much rainfall, delayed planting, but also prevented certain farmers to actually plant. And actually have to switch to other crops due to the fact that they were now out of the planting window. So it's critical that you watch that, because weather recently due to climate change can be erratic and actually disrupt your planning in terms of the when to plant and so on.
I'm always interested in knowing, at the moment, how does South Africa compare worldwide in this regard?
Okay, in terms of production relative to the world, we are still a small player in terms of production, biggest production of white maize. But if you look at this global situation, indications are that we're going to have a slightly smaller, harvest than the previous year, about a 4% contraction, and stocks levels are low as well, and that's the impact of the war in Ukraine that currently impacts on the availability of the product out of Ukraine, but also production out of Ukraine, for example, maize and sunflower and so on. Production, expectations are that it will contract by over 40%, year on year. So that's a massive contraction in output, obviously impacting on availability for the world market. So tight stock situation globally means there's an opportunity for the local market to actually increase output, and prices are responding as well, international prices. But coupled with a relatively weaker exchange rate, yes, is boosting prices at the moment.
When we look at the global maize production and ending stock estimates, have you got some information for us surrounding that?
Yes, definitely. Obviously, talking about the biggest crop globally is maize. Expectations are that we are going to see about 1.1 billion tons of maize globally, and stocks are also going to be, while it's a huge crop, but relative to the previous year, is as indicated, is a 4% contraction. And then if you look at the stock situation, just over 307 million tons of maize. By the way, we just produce about in a very, very good season, we produce just over 16 million tons. Yeah. So you can see the size of the crop globally, and versus ourselves, we are a small player. We see the EU, for example, contraction there, on a big scale, and obviously the impact of the availability of fertilizer and war situation in Ukraine, yes, but also the drought situation that impacted on the region, impacted on the crop, and it is reportedly going to be the lowest since the 2007-8 season. Yeah, so those are the impacts on the international market, on the domestic market.
Paul, we're going to continue just now. We have to go to a break. Ons is nou terug, bly gerus ingeskakel. Ek gesels steeds met Paul Makube. Hy's 'n senior landbou-ekonoom by FNB se agribusiness afdeling. Paul, obviously, when estimates and so, when we look at the role that soybeans play, why are they doing so good at the moment?
Yeah, good question. Soybeans are doing well because of the price levels, yeah, at the moment. So we're talking about over 10,000 rand per ton. So historically, below 6,000 rand per ton. So it's quite good margin there from the historical perspective. But what is important in terms of soybeans is that over the years, a decision was made a few years ago to actually increase capacity in terms of processing of soybeans in the country. And this was in an effort to actually, to do import substitution. We were importing a lot of soy milk cake. And that means that reliance on import, the exchange rate volatility had a huge influence on the, feeding margins for the especially for the livestock sector. So in terms of that capacity that was built over time, farmers responded and continued to increase their hectares under soybeans, but also the varieties that have been planted allowing more an increase in yields. And the prices have also responded, both global and domestic prices have responded. And expectations are that next year will be another record year for soybeans. So those are the developments around soybeans. There's also an element of an opportunity to actually export to China. We're still a small player in the bigger scheme of things, but any market that opens up creates an opportunity for expansion, and also given the fact that the crop can be grown in conjunction with maize area. That is, produced in the maize areas. So you almost have, similar resources in terms of production of soybeans. So hence we see this an upward trajectory in the soybean market.
So what I hear you saying is, if you want to plant something, you recommend plant soya beans, right?
Yes, for the moment, have a look at the market, and the soybeans, looks attractive at the moment. I mean, the next one is also, sunflower. It has been relatively expensive. It's actually more expensive than soybeans. We're talking about 11,000 rand per ton. So huge, but obviously two different markets. Soybeans more to the livestock sector. Sunflower more to the cooking oil market. Yes. We have seen what has happened on the international market. I mean, Ukraine is a big, and Russia, supply over 80% of the world, sunflower oil market. So that had a huge impact on the, cooking oil prices in the country and in the world. And if you look at the oilseed index that is measured by the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, we've seen that, at double-digit levels, above 20% year-on-year increase in that oilseed index. So, that filtered through to the local market. Hence, we see prices at above 11,000 rand per ton.
Paul, we've got around just under a minute left. What are the early indications showing how South African farmers intend to plant?
So early indications it's just marginal, about 0.2% increase in planted area. And as we talked about soybean, the biggest gainer, in about 16% year-on-year increase. The maize hectares, slightly, slightly down, but it's still early days. We expect that to change over time. But obviously, soybeans has taken
the lead.
A lot of, taken a lead, and a lot from maize.
Yes. Well, Paul, thank you for your knowledge and just clarifying it for us. I really appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, and have a lovely day and a lovely week.